Good evening, everyone. For Telesur English, I'm Sarah Begum in Caracas, Venezuela. And we start tonight here in Venezuela, where right-wing opposition leader Enrique Capriles is calling for protests in the absence of President Maduro, who was on a visit to Algeria. The opposition is attempting to provoke the street clashes that's left 43 people dead in early 2014, calling for the exit of Maduro. Capriles has been criticized of neglecting his duties as governor of the state of Miranda in order to focus on his role as an opposition leader. However, pollsters in the country have said that Venezuelans have no appetite for the kind of political violence that their country has previously witnessed. In Mexico, students and relatives of 42 missing aspiring teachers stormed a Mexican military base in the city where they vanished, prompting soldiers to repel them with tear gas. The protesters traveled to Iguala in the southern state of Guerrero to demand to search the barracks because they believe the missing young men may have been hidden there. Bolivian President Evo Morales upheld the case at the International Court of Justice that supports his country's claim against Chile in an ongoing case it hopes will win back sea access it lost over a century ago. Bolivia is seeking to force its southern neighbor to give back a Pacific Ocean passage lost in an 1880s war won by Chile.
Los bolivianos ni fuéramos tontos, pues.
Bolivians, we are no fools to lift a case for a piece of land. I want to tell you that our case is right on track. And let it be clear that we are very respectful of international organizations with regard to our case before the International Court of Justice. We are very respectful of the international organizations. The plurinational state maintains only one policy, only one position, and only one line with our ex-presidents, social movements, assemblies. Here we are united.
El plurinacional mantiene una sola política, una sola postura y una misma línea.
And in world news, President Barack Obama made a renewed push for cybersecurity legislation, asking the new Congress to revive an initiative stalled over the past few years. The new proposal would allow increased sharing of information on cyber threats from the private sector with protection from liability. Obama, speaking at a White House meeting with congressional leaders, said recent events have heightened the need for tougher cybersecurity legislation.
With the Sony attacks that took place, with the Twitter account that was hacked by Islamist jihadist sympathizers yesterday, it just goes to show how much more work we need to do, both public and private sector, to strengthen our cybersecurity, to make sure that families' bank accounts are safe, to make sure that our public infrastructure is safe. I've talked to both the Speaker as well as Mitch McConnell about this, and I think we agree that this is an area where we can work hard together.
And staying in the United States, Republicans are going head-to-head with President Barack Obama on a controversial pipeline project that's been stuck in Congress for 6 years. Many activists say the project isn't in the people's interest. Correspondent Alexandra Hall has more from Washington.
The first task of a Republican-controlled Congress is Keystone XL. Passed by the House last week, a bill to approve construction of the pipeline, which would transport Canadian oil through the United States, passed a preliminary hurdle in the Senate on Monday. President Obama has said he'll veto the measure, but that hasn't stopped lawmakers from debating it.
They went through a long process. It'll create jobs, help grow our economy.
That we don't know all we need to know about tar sands.
We should reject the Keystone.
We need the president to reject.
At the same time, over 100 different anti-Keystone events in cities all over the United States on Tuesday culminated in a petition delivery at the White House.
If they want 35 permanent jobs, there are a lot better ways to build them. You could build wind turbines, solar panels that would create far more jobs and do way more for the U.S. economy in the long term.
Whether it's Keystone XL or another measure with potential environmental impact, advocates say any conversation is a productive one.
If we have that bipartisan recognition, then Congress will be dealing with climate change as an issue that not whether it exists or not, but how we need to act on it.
And act they will, but they'll have to work together. Even if President Obama rejects the bill, Republicans say they'll continue to rally for bipartisan support. Right now, they do have some, but not nearly enough to get a two-thirds majority in both houses of Congress, support that's necessary to override a presidential veto. In Washington, I'm Alexandra Hall for Telesur.
Moving to France, after the controversy of the satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo's cartoons of religious figures, Prime Minister Manuel Valls told Parliament that blasphemy is legal in France and always will be. He noted that blasphemy is different from other types of speech, which may be considered libelous.
Blasphemy has no place in our law and never will. There is a fundamental difference between this freedom and anti-Semitism, racism, apology for terrorism, negationism, which are crimes, and which the judiciary should perhaps punish with more severity.
In the United States, activists held a die-in protest at New York's Grand Central Terminal despite a ban on the practice by the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Protesters had carried out the demonstration nightly for just over a month to demonstrate against police violence. However, MTA police and state troopers watched the proceedings from the periphery, making no move to use the plastic flex cups looped to each of their waists. And in Indonesia, divers pulled out the cockpit voice recorder from the sunken wreckage of an AirAsia passenger jet. A key step towards determining the cause of that crash killed the 162 people aboard. The cockpit voice recorder, which retains the last 2 hours of conversation between the pilots and with air traffic controllers, was found close to where the flight data recorder was recovered, the bottom of the Java Sea. And we end in Argentina. That's where cartoonists gathered in honor of the French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. Emblematic Latin American cartoonists such as Kino and Hermenegildo Sabat paid respect to the cartoonists at Charlie Hebdo who were the victims of a terrorist attack last week in Paris. The cartoonists said that they stood against the barbarism of the actions and barbarism in general. More on these and other stories on our website, telesortv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Sarah Begum. Have a good night.